Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We would like to note first that this video is going to be recorded and it will be published later on social media. Today, we're gonna talk about the history of the Syrian constitution. This is going to be on two parts. Tonight's gonna be one part, and then next month is gonna be the second part. So welcome to the second season of our 15 minutes online vigil for Syria, Ukraine, and Iran, hosted by Syria Solidarity in New York City. This season is produced in collaboration with our friends at Ukraine Social Solidarity Campaign and Committee in Solidarity with the People of Syria, CISPOS. So pre-pandemic, we would hold a vigil for Syria every Friday night in Union Square. And this is in the background, the picture of one of the vigils that we had before. Now we've switched to an online format, so our vigil is safe and accessible to a global audience. Before we start, we would like to acknowledge that New York City occupies the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Munsi Lenape, Canarsie, Lekaway Lenape, Matinicot, Wappinger, and Scotticock peoples. So Syria Solidarity New York City, CISPOS, and Ukraine Social Solidarity Campaign stand in solidarity with Syrian, Ukrainian, and Iranian people demanding freedom and democracy. We demand Putin, Khamenei, and Assad be held accountable for crimes against humanity. And now to start with our subject for tonight. So starting from the 1900s, similar to the flag that we talked about last time, the Syrian constitution changed depending on the political situation in the country. This subject is important to shed light on how Russia and the regime are using the constitution excuse to prolong the regime's life and kill more Syrians. And when we say the regime, we mean here the Assad. Oops. About that. Okay, so the first period that we're going to talk about, we're going to start from 1918 to 1920. So after the independence from the Ottoman Empire, Prince Faisal became the king of natural Syria, which included Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and Jordan. Faisal and his father Hussein decided to assemble a Syrian conference that created a constitution committee. That committee included a group of law practitioners to create a new constitution. The new constitution stated that Syria is a kingdom with civil and parliamentary government. The Constitution Committee discussed issues like women's political rights, religion and government, and citizenship and identity. In her book, How the West Stole Democracy from the Arabs, that was published 2020, the American author Elizabeth Thompson writes, "This constitution is the most democratic so far in the Arab world, and it's similar to current European constitutions." In this picture here that you see, the person in the red circle is Prince Faisal, or which became after King Faisal, with Damascus notable society personalities. So the next period that we're going to discuss now is between 1920 and 1943. This period is the period of the French occupation of Syria. So Syria became a French colony according to the Sykes-Picot Agreement. And because of that, France rejected Syria's independence from the Ottoman Empire and consequently rejected the constitution that was made by the Constitution Committee. However, because of the people's resistance in 1928, a founding coalition started putting together a new constitution. The most important changes compared to the older constitution were that Syria now became a parliamentary republic and the president's term would be 5 years, non-renewable. So France agreed to accept this constitution on one condition, that any legal ruling should not, by the Syrian government that's under the French occupation, so any legal ruling should not contradict any pledges that France committed to in regards to Syria. So the founding coalition did not accept that condition. So consequently, France refused the constitution altogether and dismissed the parliament. The next period after that, between 1943 and 1946, which is the beginning of the independence process from France. So Syria became independent from France officially on 17th of April, 1946. Syrian politics from independence through the late 1960s were marked by upheaval. Between 1946 and 1956, Syria had 20 different cabinets and drafted 4 separate constitutions. So this photo here that you see in the background is a celebration by Syrians after independence in 1946, and this is taken in the city of Deir ez-Zor in the northeast. And as you can see here, you can notice the flag that has 3 stars, green and 3 stars, not the flag, the Assad flag. And this picture here is for the parliament speaker, president, who's in the middle, and the others are the deputies in the parliament, and they're sitting in the parliament garden in 1946. The person in the middle is Faris al-Khouri, and he's Christian, and he's highly regarded by Syrians because of his brave attitudes against the French occupation. Now, after independence between 1946 and 1950, so we have a government now, and the government was able to start working according to the latest developed constitution. That continued between 1943 and 1947 until the first military coup by Hosni Zaim in March 1949. So Hosni Zaim started an attempt to legitimize his presidency through elections. He stopped the constitution and ordered a new one to be written. But it didn't happen. Then the second coup was by Sami al-Hannawi in the same year, also 1949, who also ordered a new constitution, which didn't happen. However, his government's most important decision was the law that allowed women's participation in political affairs for the first time. In the same year also, there was a third coup that happened by Adib al-Shishaki. So no change for the constitution. The same constitution continued to be in effect until 1950, when the founding coalition, the same one from the beginning, finalized a new constitution utilizing the best of 15 European and Asian constitutions and was called the Constitution of Independence. In this one, the issue of religion of the country was discussed, and eventually it was stated that the president should be a Muslim and Islam is the source of law. Okay, the last period that we're going to talk about today is between 1950 and 1963. So the same 1950s constitution continued to be the official constitution during this period, despite being suspended twice during the unity with Egypt, 1958, and then the second coup of Adib al-Shishaki. And that until 1963, where the Ba'ath Party made their coup, but then that's going to be discussed next time. And now we can hold our signs for 5 minutes as a silent vigil for Syria, Ukraine.